my god, if we'd had a start like that last month. I'm really undecided on this one. Granddad left her into a business. I'm gonna risk it for a biscuit. Hi guys, it's Rachel and welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new, hope you're doing well, and welcome back to my August TBR video. I cannot believe we're in August and we are officially on the home stretch. I will be a mum this time next month, which is crazy. So August is the final month that I have to complete as many books of my physical TBR as humanly possible. I have set myself a mini goal in August to read at least 10 books. I don't know how that's going to go. I really hope it's more because I currently have 19 books left on my physical TBR, so I'd love to have read them all. But 19 books in a month for me is like unspeakable. Like, that has never happened before. I think my max was in 2020 in April, the first official month of lockdown in the UK, and I think that was 15 books. So I don't think I've ever read 19 in a month in my life, but hey, there's always a possibility that this could potentially be the month, but I doubt it because I still got a lot of baby things to do, nesting, organising, prepping my brain and my body and everything just for my future to drastically change in the best way possible. I'm so excited. But yeah, I'm excited just to spend this month reading as much as humanly possible. So I'm hoping that today's TBR is good to me and the spinner wheel is nice, not too nice, but also not too mean, because if you saw July's TBR, you know it's absolute chaos. So I'm hoping for an easier time, fingers crossed. Before we jump into it, there is a twist on today's game and future games that follow. And that is because one of my goals for 2025 was to read more ebooks and bring less physical books into my life. I did well at the beginning of the year, and then as we kind of got into the middle of the year, I kind of slacked a little bit. I was bringing a lot more physical books into my life, and now I only have this space. Literally what you can see behind me is now my book space because I am in Bubba's room. Him being a newborn is the most time that I'm going to be able to spend in this room. When he starts getting older and wants to start playing toys by himself in his room, I'm not going to have access to this area as frequently, and therefore I don't want to constantly grow my physical TBR collection or my actual book collection too much until we have a future house that I can actually spread my kind of love of books into more. For the time being, this is very limited spacing, so I have come up with a new concept idea, and that is basically designating points to the prompts that I complete in the month by reading the books that are designated to those prompts, if that makes sense. So basically, I spent some time on Notion. I'll flash up on screen now so you can see, going through all the prompts left in my TBR jar. All the prompts that are left in there, I have designated 1, 2 or 3 points to. 3 points being the more challenging prompts and 1 being the easier type of prompts, like read a fantasy, read a romance. They're very easy books to fill compared to like the 3 pointers, which are a bit more difficult, like a letter generator or match a book to your outfit, etc. Those are the more hard prompts to complete, so therefore they are worth more points. So across the game, we will be tallying up how many points I'm going to earn, and if only I read those books that correlate to the prompts I've pulled. It doesn't have to be the same books I've pulled out in this video. As long as I complete those prompts within the month, I can switch out the books. I will receive those points, and those points will go towards allowing myself to buy a book. Once I have gained 10 points, so hopefully a collection of 5 to 6 TBR prompts will collate to 10 points, fingers crossed, I'll allow myself to buy an ebook on my Kindle. And if I gain 15 points, I can then buy myself a physical book. The exceptions to these rules are that I can buy anticipated releases or auto by authors without gaining points, but I'm trying to restrict myself with that as well. Just very much like real anticipated releases or like real true auto by authors that I know that I'm going to enjoy. Once I get to 10 points, I can either decide to spend them there and then and get myself an ebook if I'm really wanting a different book on my Kindle, or I can continue saving up the following 5 points and then get the 15 points to buy a physical book. So it's kind of up to me on when and how I spend those points. Obviously, if I read loads of books and accumulate way more than 15 points within a month, then those points will just batch up, and then I'll just spend them when and if I have them, if that makes sense. So that's the kind of aim. I really hope that makes sense. And then, so without further ado, I guess we'll go into our first spin/pull, see what a prompt is, see how many points it's worth, and pick a book to correlate to that prompt. I don't know how it's going to work. It's going to be a trial and error situation. You'll be along for the ride. But without further ado, let's hop into the first spin. Is it going to focus? There you go. The first spin is, does that say add a spin? Oh, double up on prompts. Oh my god, if we'd had a start like that last month, I wouldn't have been happy. Okay, double up on prompts is fine. So I need to pull 2 prompts, double them up and find one book to fit that prompt. So point system wise, we could be on for quite a roll to getting up to our 10 points quite quickly if I read a book that does these 2 prompts. Okay, here are 2. And because I was going through these prompts to like designate the points, I know that there's some really good prompts left in this TBR jar, so I'm really hoping to pull some really good ones out today. So the first one is book that, can't even read it, that has more than 400 pages. Okay, and then also, god, this is another long one as well. A book that's been on your physical TBR the longest. Okay, that is actually doable. So I think the first thing we need to do is find a book that correlates to those 2 prompts and then figure out what those points are and then add the points together. Bear with me, guys. So I'm gonna go to my Goodreads and find my physical TBR shelf and see what books have been on there the longest, because like I said, I've only got 19 books left on my physical TBR, so in terms of like books that have been on there longest, I don't have many, so we'll just have to see. They added, okay, I can't read The Masterful Lane because it's up in the loft. Friends and Strangers, do you have more than 400 pages? I have a feeling you might, you know. Oh, 395? So frustrating. And then Black Cake is the next one. Do you have more than 400 pages? I feel like you don't. Yes, you do. Okay. 416. Okay, this is the oldest book on my physical TBR that has more than 400 pages. So that is this book that is being added to my physical TBR. And if I read this book in August, I will receive how many points? I've given the prompt to read a book over 200 pages 2 points, and then the physical TBR prompt 1 point. So if I read this book, I will get 3 points. So that is the first book on my August TBR. So far, not too bad. That didn't turn out horrendously. So far we have hopefully gained 3 points towards my 10 point or 15 point total. Let's go into a spin number 2. And if you are new to my channel, we do 5 spins unless the wheel has other plans. What does it say? Pick 2, choose 1. Okay, this can be quite tactical. I could either, if I pick like a hard one and an easy one in terms of like a 3-pointer or a 1-pointer, I could go for an easy one, or I could try and bump up my total tally of points to try and get myself a book sooner rather than later. So this is quite interesting. So we've got 1, and let's just go for, oh, I dropped it. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign, but these 2. So I'll pick one of these to actually complete, and the first one is, I can't read it, so you'll have to read it first. It says, read a book that also has an audiobook available. Okay. And then, oh, read a book that starts with the, I think is the, okay, let's see what either of those prompts are. I feel like they might both be 2-pointers. Yeah, so the prompt is 2 pointers. Yeah, an audiobook available also has a 2-prompter. Okay, in terms of audiobooks available, I have recently switched my audiobook subscription over to BookBeat. So let's see what books are on BookBeat that are also on my physical TBR. Oh, we have Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. Could be an audiobook. Summer Swap is also an audiobook available. This doesn't mean I have to read it as an audiobook, it just means that I have the option to, and it then also ticks off like 2 birds with 1 stone. If I listen to the audiobook, I'll also get a book off my physical TBR. I also know that 7 X's by Lucy Vine is also an audiobook, as well as Written in the Stars, and also The Secret Escape, which I started in July and couldn't get into, so I could try that one again. And also Cat Lady is also available as an audiobook on BookBeat. So we have quite the array of options. Obviously a lot of them are contemporary romances. We have a kind of general lit fic already on there, so I think I'm not going to pick Blue Sisters. I'm kind of leaning towards Seven X's by Lucy Vine. This has been a book that I wanted to read for years, and then this morning I've literally watched Ellen Catherine read Lucy Vine's latest book, Boyfriend, and she gave it 4 stars and really enjoyed it. So it's kind of put Lucy Vine back on my radar as an author to read. So if I pick the audiobook prompt, that is definitely a book I think that's going to be added to my TBR. But the other prompt was a book that starts with the, and we have The Summer Swap as an option. The Wedding of the Year by Jill Mansell. Sorry if my camera angle has changed, I had to change the battery. The last one on my physical TBR that starts with the is The Worst Case Cookery Club. Worst Case Scenario Cookery Club by Christy Manby. And I have a feeling that I want to go for the audiobook prompt of 7X's by Lucy Vine to add a romance to my TBR for August. So that is the next book. I didn't even say what these books are about. This one follows our main character who has dated lots of different people, and then she's kind of like just broken up with someone, and she's reading a kind of old 2000s magazine, and she reads an article that basically says, if you've had all of these types of exes, then you should have already met the one. And those exes are the first love, the work mistake, the friend with benefits, the overlap, the mischance, the bastard, and the serious one. So she goes back and redates all of her previous exes to see if she has just missed who was meant to be her one. So I'm very, very intrigued by that one. I could potentially listen to the audiobook, but I could also just read it physically. The prompt had to mean that the book had an audiobook available. So that has definitely hit the prompt. So that is the next book. And then this is like a multi-generational book about lots of different people in a family. And the grandmother, Eleanor, I think, has died, and all of her estranged children and grandchildren receive their unexpected inheritance. And something drama, mystery, lit fic sort of book from there. So that is where we're at currently. So I can put the prompt back in the jar. It could get pulled again, but we'll see. And we are picking the audiobook prompt for book number 2. So book number 3 is going to be, I don't know, we'll have to see what the spinner wheel decides to give me. Another pick 2, choose 1. I'm not complaining. It gives me more kind of like free reign of what books I want to put on, what prompts I want to complete, how many points I want to gain. So far we will have gained, I've lost track of the points already. Maybe I'll keep the point system on the screen whilst I'm editing. I think it might be 5 points that we've got. That's only one prompt. We need another one. I'm getting distracted. Okay, these 2. What are they? If we pull out the same one, that'll be hilarious. And this one is, I think that's an author that I've previously given 5 stars. Read a book from an author you have given 5 stars to. Okay, that could be a good one because I'm also trying to think about my summer bingo board that I still have left to read, and one of the prompts is to reread a book. So although not getting a book of a physical TBR, I would like to reread a book, which would be fun this month, and I have a few books of authors that I've given 5 stars to that I could reread. A book where the cover matches your outfit. Yeah, I'm wearing grey today, and I don't think I own a single grey book, so we're putting that one straight back in, and we'll do a read a book from an author that you've already given 5 stars to. I believe that prompt is another 2-pointer. Yes, it's another 2-pointer. So what author from this stack of books have I previously given a 5 star to? I could pick a non-reread and do a Sarah Morgan book. I've given The Christmas Book Club a 5 stars, which I think is somewhere here. Yeah, this was a 5-star book. So I could read either of these 2. I have previously given Ali Hazelwood a 5 star, so I could read the problematic summer romance, but I'm hesitant on adding this one to my physical TBR because I feel like people are reading Not in Love as the first book and this is the second book. But let me know in the comments down below if you think I need to read Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood before jumping into this one, because I have no interest in reading Not in Love, but I have very much high interest in picking up this one. But let me know if I need to read that one before reading this one, because I would appreciate your advice. I could read the Elle Kennedy book that Emily got me for my birthday, because I've given lots of Elle Kennedy books 5 stars in the past. This one's Girl Abroad. So we have lots of options. Or like I said, I could do a reread. There's a few books on my reread list I'd like to get to this year, one of them being Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I've given plenty of his books 5 stars before. I would love to reread The 24-Hour Cafe by Libby Page, giving this one 5 stars before, so I could just literally read a book that I've given 5 stars before and reread it. Once again, I could reread Billy and Me, that's on my list, and I've given that one, and plenty of other Giovanna Fletcher books 5 stars previously. So we have a lot to play with. And also, I would love to reread all of Ashley Poston's books. All of them, apart from her latest one, Sounds Like Love, I've given 5 stars to. So we have a lot to play with, and I'm really unsure on what book I'm going to read for this one. I think I'm tying up between The 24-Hour Cafe by Libby Page as a reread, or Anxious People. We've got a romance and we've got a general lit fic. So The 24-Hour Cafe is very much more like a woman's fiction. It's not kind of a romance. It's not really kind of like a general fiction. It's very much like a woman's chick lit. And then obviously Anxious People is more just kind of like your general fiction as well. I don't know what to pick. I'm really undecided on this one. Okay, after a lot of deliberation, I think I'm going with Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I have been dying to reread this book. I have missed Frederick Bachman's writing style. I didn't get my Frederick Bachman fix with my friends because I took too long to read it, so I think this is the perfect one to reread, and I wanted to have it up and make it part of my forever collection and just read it for a second time and see if it is one of my favourite Frederick Bachman books. This is kind of like a heist bank robbery gone wrong, where the bank robber ends up running into a block of flats and holds all of the people in the flat hostage because that flat was on an open day, and all of these random people are put together in a hostage situation who don't know each other because all they were doing was viewing this flat to buy. So I remember absolutely adoring this book, flying through it, and I'm really intrigued to reread it and see what my thoughts are today. So that is the next book on my TBR for August. So far this TBR is turning out very well, if I do say so myself, and hopefully the TBR gods aren't too mean to me today and the good luck continues. So we're already on to spin number 4. What are we gonna get this time? Two books for the same prompt. So in terms of
points, quite decent. I can get quite a lot of points. We might be reaching a 10 points already in this video, but it depends on what the prompts are and if I could fulfill them. That's where the real challenge comes in. So picking another 2 prompts. This time I'm picking 1 prompt, but picking 2 books for that prompt. So let's hope it's a good and kind of a 1 pointer. I want an easy prompt. I have a lot in my hand. Which one is going to fall? I'm gonna go for this one. Fingers crossed it's an easy one to fulfill. What is it? What is it? Read a book you've heard no one talk about. Okay, that one is fairly easy to fulfill, but obviously we need to fulfill it twice. So read a book that no one, wait, what was it? What was it again? Read a book you've heard no one talk about. Okay, read a book that you've heard no one talk about. I think an easy option is once again going with Sarah Morgan, because I don't really hear her talk about on BookTube. Never heard anyone speak about this book or this book. I could also go to my Kindle. We haven't touched my Kindle reads yet. Also, never heard anyone talk about Friends and Strangers, which was a potential for the first prompt. But I'm thinking I need some easier books because I feel like I've got 1 romance and 2 kind of quite heavy, darker topic books so far. But let's just see what's on my Kindle. A book we've heard no one talk about. So obviously we can pick 1 Sarah Morgan book. To be fair, my Kindle does have a lot of well spoken about books. You know what I might do actually? Okay, because I had success in this prompt last month, was to read the oldest book on my Kindle KU TBR, and I read it and gave it 4 stars. So the second oldest one is Summer at a Cornish Farmhouse by Lynn B. Holton. I just downloaded it when I first got my Kindle and didn't really read into it. Heard no one talk about it, so I'm going to pick 1 Kindle book and 1 physical book for this prompt because we have to pick 2. So for the Kindle pick, I'm going to pick Summer at a Cornish Farmhouse. I have no idea what it's about, but it's a cute summer book, hopefully. Oh, it has a map. It says, escape to the idyllic Cornish farmhouse is this brand new series. Sometimes the end is just the beginning. When Jess Newman married the love of her life, Ben, she was sure they had what it took to stay together forever. So when Ben falls out of love with her, only to promptly fall into the arms of the new girlfriend Naomi, she doesn't really know how to come to terms with their divorce. A year later, after an uncharacteristic leap of faith, she is raising her 8-year-old daughter alone while turning a beautiful Cornish farmhouse her granddad left her into a business. Starting over, Cornish seaside town. It's the fresh start she needed, but in between learning how to lay gravel and making ends meet, it's not quite everything she hoped it would be. Jess is determined to never need anyone ever again until a handsome contractor, Riley, is always around ready to offer a hand. Is she brave enough to let someone in? Could one summer change everything? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so that's the book that I'm going to read on my Kindle for that prompt. How many points is this prompt? Read a book you've heard no one talk about. This is a 2-prompter, so I'll get 4 points by reading both of the books set for this prompt. And I think I'm going to try and restart I'm going to mix the 2 titles together. The Summer Escape. No, The Secret Escape, not The Summer Swap. I'm going to try and put this one back on my TBR and get through this one. This is Sarah Morgan's latest release. This is about 2 best friends who have fallen out of touch when one of them randomly calls the other out of the blue to be like, hey, I need your help. The other friend kind of forgives her for what she's done in the past and helps her in kind of like keeping her secret. So I'm intrigued to continue on with this one. I just felt like it wasn't the right time. I only got about 30 pages into it, 60 pages into it, so I didn't give it a full fair chance. I just knew that I was getting into a slump, so I didn't want to kind of like force myself through a book that I thought I was going to really, really enjoy just for the sake of like reading it at that certain time. I'm a stickler for a TBR, but I'm definitely also aware that sometimes a TBR isn't the way to go and sometimes you just need to mood read. So this is going back on the TBR for August. So we have a Kindle book and a physical book for that prompt of a book that you've heard no one talk about. So that is prompt number 4. Although we've got 5 books on TBR because of that special prompt, and we need to spin for the final time, spin number 5. I lost track. I can't believe we're on the final one already. I might do 6 just because I do want to try and read 10 books this month, and that was never in focus. I'm very sorry. What is it? A free pass! Okay. So technically, 5 spins, 5 books. But, like I just said, I kind of want to add one more book. This is where the TBR gods are like, no, you should have just stopped. This is where the game's going to get chaotic and we're going to get like add a spin. But I'm going to risk it for a biscuit because I don't want to end on a free pass. Free pass basically just means don't pick a book. So I am going to spin for the 6th time, hopefully the final time, and we'll see what we get. This could go disastrously wrong just like it did last month, but hopefully it doesn't. Okay, it doesn't, but it is another 2 books with the same prompt, which I think is actually quite good. That I'm happy with that. It's better than add a spin, although it basically is adding 2 books at the same time. Like, there's no difference in that prompt really. But so 1 more prompt, 2 more books, and then we will call it quits. Please be a good prompt. We'll go for this one. Scary. I'm scared. What is it? Because it has to be a good one. It has to be an easy one to fulfill that I can fulfill 2 books with. Oh, it's upside down. I don't know. Let you guys read it first. Read a book that's longer than your last read. Okay, so the last book I finished was The Risk by Elle Kennedy, which was 402 pages. And this one has to be longer and I have to pick 2 books. Yay, so 2 books that are longer than 400 pages. This is where I think I might need my Kindle, but let's check my physical TBR. I have a feeling Written in the Stars is over 400 pages. I have put this book on so many TBRs now, and I'm just either never get around to it or not in the mood to read it in that month. 366, so not quite 400 pages. Oh, so close. This one's 390, but not quite. I decided not to trust Goodreads, yeah, 320. And I don't think this one's going to be 400. No, so close, 380-ish pages. I'm literally going to be pulling out every single book I own at this rate. Elle Kennedy always does thick boys, but I don't think this one's 400 pages. But it is, it's 420. But I didn't want to start another Elle Kennedy series before completing the entire off-campus BRU Campus Diaries universe. So I don't really want to pick that one quite yet. So what kind of books do I was like, oh, which books do I fancy reading on my Kindle? I think Deep End by Ali Hazelwood is more than 400 pages. So we're going to have to trust Goodreads, definitely, for Deep End. So let's go to my Kindle to be read and check how many pages Deep End has. Because Deep End has been like calling my name at a minute, so it would be good to read that one. Yeah, 464, okay. So Deep End, definitely going to read that one. And then I've kind of been wanting...
I've also kind of wanted to read Mile High by Liz Tom Ford as well. Once again, I didn't want to mix my hockey romances. I wanted to finish Elle Kennedy before reading Mile High. I could see how many pages are in the play, which is the third book in the Elle Kennedy series I'm currently in the middle of. 422. Okay, so we go for Deep End and the play by Elle Kennedy for 2 books that are over 400 pages. Let's do it. Okay, those, because then I'll be one step closer to completing another series, and although it's not off my physical TBR, at least it's getting me somewhere in terms of like my series completion, and I do want to get Elle Kennedy's Briar U Universe series completed sooner rather than later. So I think that wraps up my August TBR. A little chaos, but not too much chaos. I didn't actually check how many points this prompt is. What was it? A book longer than your last read. I gave it 2, so that's another 4 points. So I think I'm gonna have a tally here. We've definitely got over the 10-point range. We might even be on the 15-point range if I read all of these prompts in August. That is the only way I'll actually be able to collect those points. So these are hypothetical points as of now. Once I read the book and / completed the prompt, so I could go off track with the TBR that I've set and read a different book. As long as it completes the same prompt, I will still receive those points, if that makes sense. But I'm hoping I'll actually stick to my TBR, because I'm hoping this point kind of like system will also help me stick to my TBRs, because I used to be a stickler for TBRs. I used to never divert from them, and recently I have been more of a mood reader, which I never thought I would say. So I'm hoping this is also a reason for me to help stick to my TBR, because I do want to get through my physical TBR sooner rather than later. So let's do a quick roundup of all the books that are on my August TBR. The first one we got was a book that has more than 400 pages, and a book that's been on my TBR, physical TBR, the longest. So we're going Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkinson, which is a general lit fic. And then we got the prompt of reading a book that also has an audiobook available, so we're doing 7 X's by Lucy Vine. And then we got the prompt to read a book from an author you've previously given 5 stars to, so I'm going to do a reread of Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. And then we got the prompt of No One Talks About It, but we had to double up. So we're doing The Secret Escape by Sarah Morgan, as well as Summer at the Cornish Farmhouse by insert author name here because I've forgotten it. And then we got another 2 books with the same prompt, and that was a book that was longer than your last read. So putting The Play by Elle Kennedy on, as well as Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. So I think a very solid August TBR. Hopefully I can get around to all of them. Hopefully we'll start accumulating points to help me with my book buying limitations, should I say, not a book buying ban, my book buying limitations. So I'm hoping that you guys enjoy this new little spin and twist on my TBR. Less so for you guys, but more so for me to keep myself accountable, but I'm really hoping that that adds another like new fun twist to the game in terms of like thinking strategically on what prompts we get and when we have to pick 2 and choose 1, etc. So I'm really hoping that adds a little fun dynamic to the TBR game as well, but hopefully it will help me out more so. So I'm very, very excited for the new kind of like dynamic of the TBR game. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a massive thumbs up and subscribe down below to see future content from me. I do anything from monthly TBRs, monthly wrap-ups, weekly reading vlogs, and any other bush content you can think of. I usually have it on the channel here, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.